Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, around this time of year, early July, I'm really in changeover mode. This morning I've been ripping out about 3 beds in preparation to put some fall crops in, and we're going to do that together today. We have a whole bed of nigella to get into the ground. That'll be my second succession of nigella. We have another wave of sunflowers to go in the ground. I think this will make this succession 9 on the sunflowers. Also, I just want to add in a few fun things, some nasturtium. I've never tried serenth this time of year. I've only tried it in the cooler parts of the year. So I want to give that a try and see if it works. And then once we finish up with that, I want to go ahead and plant some new lilacs that Proven Winners sent me. These are dwarf lilacs, and I think they'll be really beautiful in the hydrangea room because I have 2 other lilacs in the hydrangea room already. But first, what I wanted to do is something kind of strange, and I don't know if this is going to have worked out or not. But over the last few days, I've been making this frozen floral ice bucket. So I want to just head inside for a second and try to pop it out of the container and see if it worked. And then we will get to work out here in the garden. So before we head inside, let me show you some of the lilies that are blooming now that weren't on the June garden tour. Here we have the silver moon lily. We planted this together in a video, and this one smells so wonderful. I'm not sure about how I have it mixed with the mahogany splendor hibiscus. I think I like it this year, but you know, with these trumpet and OT lilies, they don't reach their full height the first year. So I think in theory it was probably a good idea. Next year I think I'll try it again, because next year I think it will look really nice. But I definitely wanted to show you this lily, and now let me show you my favorite lily of all time. So here it is. This is the beautiful rose lily Editha. A double oriental lily, very light fragrance, no pollen, and just these absolutely delightful soft pink petals. Just a standout and my all-time favorite lily. I also noticed that gaucho is starting to bloom, so let's take a look at that lily. And I really love this lily too. Like the bees love it also, but a beautiful white lily, deep raspberry pink center, a little bit of freckling, and just overall absolutely beautiful. So all of these will be going to the flower stand tomorrow because they're all ready for harvest. There are also a few Casablanca lilies that have started to open, but the majority of my orientals are not quite open yet. But give them to the end of the week and these will probably all be in full glorious bloom. Can you hear the horse and buggy in the background? And I'm not sure I've ever showed you my Rose of Sharon hedge in bloom, so let me show you that real quick. It seems like people have really strong opinions on Rose of Sharon, and a lot of people dislike them, I guess because they do kind of seed themselves around a bit. But I really love having them here, and this is where my flower stand is this time of year, although they do kind of make a mess and then I have to blow off the sidewalk every day. But they're beautiful, aren't they? You just can't beat that flower power. All right, let's see what we've got here. I've seen this idea a couple times, and then about a week ago I saw it was on the Flower Magazine Instagram page, so I thought I'd give it a try. It's definitely a labor of love, even if it works, but let's flip it over and see what we've got. Okay, I think I need to run it under some water. Ooh. Well, I think maybe I should have used more flowers. You have to do this in layers. So the first layer is your flat bottom layer, and then you insert a bucket in there. So I think for my first try, it turned out pretty good. Definitely if I do it again, I'll use a lot more flowers because I see a lot of areas where there's no flowers at all. And I think I would have even done more layers. I think I did 5 layers. Maybe I should have done about 7 layers for a more full look. But I think the idea, you know, is that this is kind of just a fun ice bucket. And then maybe you fill that with some more ice cubes. Let's see how that looks. Now that I think about it, it would be fun to make floral ice cubes to go in here. Well, I really can't make my mind up on whether or not I like this. I'm not sure if this is cool or if this should be on a show like Nailed It. Let me know what you think. Well, I feel like that ice bucket is a little bit underwhelming, but the more I think about it, maybe I needed to use a taller bucket for the structure that I froze everything in. Maybe it just looks too much like a bowl rather than an ice bucket. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. But let's just knock out all these raised beds together. So let me turn you around and show you kind of what I pulled out, what's going in, and then we'll just get it done. So I try to flip these raised beds at least 3, a lot of them 4 times per year, at least all the ones that are dedicated to flowers. There are some crops that just take too long and then I can only flip the bed twice. But in an ideal world, most of the beds are being flipped 4 times during the growing season. And to start, I just want to fill in a few gaps. So here's where I have the majority of my really big dahlias this year. And I just want to come in with this nasturtium I saw at the seed store called Milkmaid Nasturtium. So we're going to seed that on both sides of this bed. This bed did have my ranunculus to start the season. Then I pulled those out. The Dara just kind of popped up naturally. There's also some foxglove in there. And I've already seeded in some sunflower, so that's the 8th sunflower succession. The straw flower bed will not get changed over because it'll just keep pumping out blooms all season. This bed here to start had larkspur and then snapdragons. The snapdragons have all been cut. Now they're on their second flush. I came in with some Mexican bush sage, and now we need to fill in this gap here with some celosia that I started. And what I've also done to maximize the space in between the snapdragons, because after this harvest I'll probably go ahead and pull them out, is I went ahead and seeded sunflowers all around them. I'm also going to be seeding in some cosmos, but I might do that tomorrow because that bed needs weeded really, really badly, and I think I might want to wait until the cool of the morning to do that. But what I want to do now is seed this entire bed with Levena Mist. So we did have some Levena Mist early on in the season, but I want another bed going. Levena Mist is generally about 70 days, 75 days from seed to harvest. And I really like having blue and white to pair with my later sunflowers. I think that combo of yellow and blue and orange and blue and black and blue is really, really beautiful. And also I don't really have that texture later on in the season of more of a dainty, whimsical flower. I like to plant my Levena Mist really close together. I'm not sure if most people recommend something like 6 to 9 inches apart, but I prefer to go a little closer, about 4 inches apart. So I'm going to seed this pretty heavily, and then I'll go ahead and thin to about 4 inches. But what I've found that the thicker that I seed them, the more they help each other stand up. And I've never had any issues with Levena Mist falling over for me here in southern Pennsylvania. Of course, there's always a risk, but I've never had that issue so far since I've been planting them. So whenever I'm trying to decide what to do for these later successions, first I think about how many days left do I have in my growing season, and will the flower I want to grow have enough days to mature before my first frost. So I have about 110 days left before my first frost, 110 days left in my growing season. So anything that matures to about, say, 90 days or less, I feel really comfortable with planting this time of year. And of course, the weather is always in charge, but that's a situation where I feel confident that I'm going to be able to harvest that crop. And then the last thing I think about for these later plantings is my focal flowers, and is what I'm going to be planting a good match for those focal flowers. So in September, my focal flowers are my dahlias and also my darker colored sunflowers and my bright colored sunflowers. So I'm just trying to think about flowers that will pair really nicely with those colors and forms, and make sure I have a nice mix of different textures, some spikes, some smaller fat flowers, some filler flowers, so that I really have a complete bouquet year round. And so if I'm thinking about a bouquet that's going to be blooming towards the end of September, I know I have my focal flowers like my dahlias and my sunflowers. I know I have spikes like my celosias and some of my salvias. I have those nice secondary round flowers like the straw flower. I have a few successions of zinnias. My dara will still be going strong, but it's really those fun textural bits and pieces that are missing from the garden come late September. Those kind of elements that make someone say, oh, what's that? Or just really sets the arrangement apart from other arrangements that they might run into. And since nigella is such a great dried flower as well when it turns into a seed pod, even if I don't end up using all of these fresh, we can go ahead and use them for the dried flower Christmas tree, which you know I love that. So have you guys ever grown this milkmaid nasturtium before? I thought the color looked so beautiful. And this is really just for my own enjoyment. I love eating nasturtiums. I love making things with edible flowers. And I also love using nasturtiums in compote designs. So I have some bright pink nasturtiums, but I thought this soft butter yellow would be really lovely. And I'm afraid about every single pen in my house has dirt on the back end. So is it super humid where you live? It's so humid this time of year that I call these days the 3 shower days. I've already taken 2 showers today after I ripped out all those beds. Oh, there goes my nasturtium seeds. So I'm a little bit late to the party getting this particular celosia in the ground. It was really just a matter of not having a place for it yet. I do have most of my celosias over in the hydrangea room and in the driveway garden. The ones that are all in the backyard are for cutting, and the ones in the driveway garden are for drying. This one is called Flamingo Purple, which is a little more vibrant pink. I would call it more of a pink than a purple, but it's really beautiful, and I love the foliage. It's more of a darker foliage that almost reminds me of the Kodiak Black Durvella. Oh, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but there is the 3rd instar of the spotted lanternfly right here in front of me. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill it right now. Well, I don't think I got him. I think he jumped somewhere. It's so hard to get those spotted lanternflies because they jump so quickly. So the serenth I'm planting, this is the only one I've ever planted, and it's actually called hummingbird serenth. It's from Renee's garden, but I purchased it over at Roar Seed, which is a local seed company to me. And this is, hi Rocky. This is going to replace my bupleurum that was here that I pulled out, and it's now on my drying racks. And it's gonna also go in between my spring sown garlic. So let's give this a try. Last year, I saw that my serenth in the border, after I had harvested it, I left a few pieces in the garden, and then I noticed that it was self-seeding and it was very quickly germinating at that time of year, which I believe was late August. So I'm thinking it will be okay later on in the hot part of the season, but let's give it a try here and really observe what happens and how it holds up later in the year. Hey Rocky, you wanna help? Yeah. These go in pretty deep, and they're really nice big seeds if you have kids. My daughter's a teenager now, so I'm hoping she comes back to the garden eventually. But for now, she's more interested in other things. Rocky, I think you're making all the catbirds paranoid. Well, it feels so great to have those fall successions in the ground. I'm just gonna keep on working my successions until I run out of time for the season. Eventually we'll be taking out sunflowers, Steve's sunflowers, replacing them with cosmos. Also, I need to still weed that bed and plant my starburst lemon eclair sunflowers. But for now, I think I want to move on to planting these baby Kim lilacs. These are dwarf lilacs. They get about 2 to 3 feet tall, 2.5 feet wide. So I'm hoping they'll make kind of a nice hedge here in the hydrangea room. I'm not 100% that this is their permanent location, but after I removed the Oralea because it had gone to seed and I went and harvested that, I had some space here and I thought, you know what, I'll give them kind of a vacation home here. We'll see how we like it. Next spring, we'll see if we like how it looks. And then we can kind of decide on a forever home for them next year. So let's get to planting this area now. Well, friends, Rocky and I got it all done. We are officially a very stinky, dirty, sweaty mess. I think it's about time for that third shower and then probably back out here tonight to do some weeding. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me a little bit today. Let me know what you're getting around to in terms of succession planting this time of year, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.